terms of the games, are there any players in your team, the West Coast Eagles, that don't want to play games of football?
I'm not sure, mate. I can't speak on behalf of anyone, but we're catching up as a player group in 45 minutes to discuss all of that. We haven't really had all the facts and information up until, well, probably just hearing Gil talk before. So we'll catch up the Savo and speak to the PA as well and discuss all of that.
So no players come to you at all and expressed any concerns about playing as of yet?
No, not just yet, no.
17-game season, Gil just announced that then. Your initial reactions to that?
Oh, well, I suppose the positives are that we're going to get to play some footy, I think. So looking forward to that. I mean, I'm obviously not a medical expert, so the reason for the 17-game season, I'm sure, suits a lot of people and is in place to help a lot of people throughout this time. So it's great that we're going to get to play some footy, and hopefully for us that's this Sunday.
Would you take a pay cut if you're asked to by the AFL?
Yeah, that'll be one of the things we discussed tonight as well. I guess we've got to weigh up, obviously, our own interests, and but also the interests of plenty of other people around the competition and around the country who help our game operate the way it does.
Luke, Tom here. In your first year of captaincy, how much has this been sort of a challenge for you to keep the playing group together?
Yeah, I guess I can't lean on Bung for any advice in regards to this, but look, mate, I haven't had to make any cutthroat decisions or anything like that. So we've had constant communication with our club doctor and medical team, which has been great, keeping everyone informed about where it's at, and also discussing behind the scenes the different possibilities of shorter season, longer season, all that sort of stuff. So I haven't had to do too much yet, but fingers crossed, my first duty is playing on Sunday.
In terms of playing games, there'll be no crowds at all. How does that affect the way you prepare it all, or how do you get the players ready for that sort of lack of atmosphere that's going to be at the ground?
I guess acknowledging it's going to be different to every other game we've played, but I think of why we fell in love with the game as kids. We weren't playing in front of 50,000 back when we were 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. So I'm sure once we flick into game mode this week, we'll be okay. But obviously from a West Coast point of view, we'll certainly miss our fans and, as much as I'm sure they'll miss us, but fingers crossed we can put on a good show for them on Sunday and, see them very soon.
Do you think you lose that home ground advantage? We saw the Wildcats, obviously Sydney came over here and beat them in Perth, then they go and win in Sydney. Is that something that you'll have to contend with, that lack of sort of a 19th man in the crowd?
As players, mate, we don't look into whether we've got a home ground advantage or whether we don't when we're on the road. So I'm tipping that won't be discussed this week.
In your opinion, do you think the players want to play round one, or are they concerned about the health of their families? Where do they sit?
Well, I think we want to play round one first and foremost, but then it's a matter of, obviously, while we're catching up tonight, it's a matter of discussing the issues that may arise or the risks. So, it's a good thing for us. We're playing Sunday. Obviously, teams are kicking off Thursday night, so a decision needs to be made sooner rather than later. But that's something we need to discuss as a group, and that's why we're meeting in about half an hour.
What was the consensus amongst the leaders? I presume it was all the club captains. When you had that chat today, what was the consensus there about starting the season this weekend?
Pretty much everything that Gil just spoke about. There's plenty of things to work through. We probably didn't discuss so much yes or no whether we want to play. It's about all the other factors that come into it, and obviously health is first and foremost. And I dare say we're not the only club whose playing group is going to get together and discuss all of that.
And have you got your head around the fact that it's a 17-game season? Obviously, you've just heard that. There'll only be one derby. They'll have to redo the draw. It's comprehensive, isn't it? It's unprecedented.
Yeah, it is different. As I said, at this stage, we're fortunate that we're going to get to go ahead with plenty of football at the end of the day. So that's a great thing. I think once we get into the nitty-gritty of the season and we get underway, hopefully the fact that it's only 17 home and away games is put on the back burner and we can just get on with the year as usual.
Wondering, mate, how much have you had to help out the young guys in the group? Because obviously you're a leader, there's a lot of older guys in the pack, but how much have you really had to guide through the young guys through this to help them out?
As I touched on before, Joshy, I haven't had to do too much extra than what the other guys around the place have had to. We've had a pretty normal lead into round one, which has been a really good result for us. We had a hit out Friday, had the weekend off, and we rolled up today and had a meeting on our intra-club from Friday and had a little run around out in the track. So aside from the fact that we're still not sure whether we're guaranteed to play or not this week, we've had a pretty normal schedule. So, not too much mentoring for the younger guys has had to go on just yet.
How much of a distraction has it really been? I mean, every single conversation is dominated by the coronavirus and it's so up in the air. Has there been any distractions to the group at all?
Oh, not really. I think we're preparing to play, and the worst thing that can happen is that gets cancelled, and we've prepared for nothing, which is never a bad result. So we'll continue to do what we've done and see what happens tomorrow.
And do you expect Jack Darling to play this weekend?
I do, yeah. Yeah, he had a good hit out Friday. Was probably our best player on track, to be honest, in our intra-club. So really good sign for us, and looking forward to having him back. I think we've missed him over the Marsh series.
Any update with McGovern and Kennedy?
Kenners has had his best pre-season in 8 years still, so he was good Friday. And Gov, we got a few minutes into Gov. Obviously a bump up from what he played in the second Marsh series game. So, Josh's elbow's fine. I think Simo touched on it last week. It's something that he's had before, I think, or he's back in the brace he had, but that hasn't spooked anyone, and Gov looks ready to go as well. So, fingers crossed, looking forward to Sunday.
All right, Mitch, you got us?
Yep, I'm here. Hey, Luke, Mitch from the West.
Hey, Josh. Mitch.
First off, just quickly, has anybody in the club, from the club, players, anybody been isolated that you're aware of?
Not that I'm aware of, no. We've got a lot of staff and footy department here, so I haven't really done a head count myself, but no, I think we're okay at the moment.
Now, on the footy, big game obviously always is round one. We'll just say you're playing this Sunday as expected. There's a lot of talk about Jared Brander coming into the team, Bailey Williams possibly making his debut. You got any thoughts on if you'd like to see either of those two play?
I think it's always great to see young guys get an opportunity, mate. Jared Brander's had a really good summer. Obviously moved into the midfield for us a little bit. So if he plays, that's really exciting for us. And, Bailey potentially debuting is also real energy boost for the group. But bit of water to go under the bridge just yet. But both guys are in a really good position after a strong summer.
All the talk's been about Tim, a lot of the talk, I suppose, has been about Tim Kelly playing for the Eagles this year in the midfield with you guys. How have you seen that gelling going on with the guys like Nick Nat, Tim, yourself, Dom Sheed and all that?
Yeah, I think it's been positive from our end. Obviously, we didn't perform at our absolute best over the Marsh series, but we're not too worried about that. We had a few things we wanted to fix up, but we feel we're in a really good position that if we are to play this week, then we can perform at our best. And obviously, we know the class that Tim brings and what he's done over his first few years. Hopefully, he'll be a really good acquisition for us.
Luke, you sort of touched on that you'd like round one to go ahead on Sunday for you guys. Why is that so important to you?
Just because we love playing footy, really. That's, from a footy sense, we want to play because we love the game. But, if we weigh up the health risks and all of that stuff and it's not in our best interest, then, we'll make that known. But you know, at this stage, it all seems like it's okay to go ahead, and that's exciting for us. We've trained for 3 months, and you know, we're ready to crack in.
And to get your thoughts, you sort of indicated he was right to go, but what are your thoughts on JK's robotic arm?
He's fine, mate. Yeah, he's he'll be fine. He's played through a lot worse than that in the past. I think we all know how tough Joshy is, so he'll be right.
A couple of the things that have been floated if this season has to be crammed, the first one being top-up players, so that you, I guess, can rotate your lists. How do you think you'd handle that as a club if you were to bring in, I guess, some guys from your waffle team?
Oh, I guess that's a bridge we'll cross when we get to it, but you know, at this stage we might be okay, but if that's what's required for the season to go ahead and for teams to keep on playing, then so be it. But that's not something we've spent a whole lot of time on just yet.
Yep. And Max Gawn this week as a midfield unit, and with your big ruckman and potentially Bailey Williams or Nathan Vardy, how do you feel like your position going up against the big fella?
Oh yeah, I don't think you're ever in a perfect position to come up against someone like Max Gawn, but you know, we feel like we've got enough talent and experience to be able to figure out a way to beat him, as I'm sure they do for us as well. So obviously they've had a really good summer as well, performed really well over their first 2 games, and Max only played one of them, but looked to be in the same touch he's been in for a few years. So yeah, one of the bigger challenges in terms of midfield battles that we face, and yeah, it'll be a good test for us.
Hey mate, Lucky from GWN7. Just a couple of quick ones. On the 17-game season, you guys are rolling in with, I think, the second oldest list in the comp. Do you think that playing a shorter season might actually, you know, be a bit more of a benefit to you guys than it might be to some of the other clubs?
I'm not sure. I haven't put a whole lot of thought into weighing that up just yet. There's been bigger things from our end to focus our attention on, but yeah, we're not too worried about the amount of games we play in terms of does it suit us or not. Time will tell whether it actually does suit anyone in particular, but yeah, it's probably not the biggest issue we're facing right now.
Yeah, and just on the waffle as well, it's been delayed until May. If the season is to start now, obviously it's fresh, but has there been any sort of discussions about how some of the younger players might keep touch and you know, put their hands up for selection and that sort of thing?
No, there hasn't really, but I guess that'll be a pretty big challenge for our footy club, and obviously all the other footy clubs around the country whose, you know, second tier competitions are now having a layoff. So yeah, that'll be a challenge we'll face. Obviously our young guys want to prove themselves and have no games to do that, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But you know, I think most clubs would have a pretty good gauge on where their younger players or players who are playing in their seconds team, where they're at, and yeah, would have a fair idea on what they need to do to get into the team without playing. And I guess it's probably a good thing that most states, or all states, are going through the same thing in terms of equality.
Beauty. Luke, obviously the Wildcats were trying to chase private planes. Is that something, if the season was to go ahead, would you try to get a chartered flight purely for the West Coast Eagles?
Well, I guess that's probably the wisest thing to do if we can. Obviously, you know, Virgin can't just click their fingers and make that stuff happen all the time. So we'd need to look into that a little bit. But yeah, again, the flying is probably going to be another issue that a lot of clubs face over the next short period of time.
Just wanted to ask, Luke, just how does it sit with you at the moment, being so close to round one, and it's almost more questions than answers at the moment?
Yeah, I guess everyone in the country is the exact same. It doesn't matter what occupation we're in, so we're not alone on that. I guess that's comforting, knowing that we're all trying to figure this out at the same time, but as I touched on before, all we can do is prepare to play, and you know, as I said, the worst that can happen is we call it off and all the preparations for nothing. But yeah, we obviously find out more tomorrow.